I'm going live from home in reference to George Floyd and police brutality. My name is James Dowling. I'm 69 years old. I'm not a convicted felon. I've only been arrested twice in my life. And each time I was falsely arrested. On January the 3rd, 1987, I was arrested by the Lake Worth Police Department to stop me from hanging drywall. After the fact, I found out that I was set up by one of my white co-workers. I was living in Lake Worth, Florida, and he came over to pick me up to go to the store to get a 6-pack of beer. Keep in mind, at that time, I wasn't drinking, and I lived in the hood, in a neighborhood where they sold drugs. I got in the car with him, going to the store to get a 6-pack of beer to come back to my place. On our way leaving, we were pulled over by 2 white officers in Lake Worth, Florida. He threw a beer out over me. After the police pulled us over, I was taken out of the car and accused of littering a beer onto the public streets. Now, you got to keep in mind, I'm the passenger in the vehicle. I'm not driving. And I wasn't drinking. I was taken out the car. He was let go. I was taken to the Lake Worth Police Department, handcuffed in the rear, placed in a holding cell. Once I was placed in that cell, handcuffed, still in the rear, my feet were tied with a piece of rope or handcuffs. I'm not sure, because I don't remember. I was on the floor at that time. But my feet and my hands were tied together. I was hogtied. It's called hogtied and tortured. I was hogtied and tortured with 290,000 volts from a stun gun, where the whole time I was being shot with the stun gun. I wasn't being accused of selling drugs. I was being accused of hanging drywall and teaching other blacks. You have to keep in mind that I had been told several times on the job that they didn't want me teaching other blacks drywall. But I never paid it any attention. I just figured it was taught. Even though I was called nigger, monkey, baboon, told I wasn't wanted there. That never fazed me, because I just go in the corner and cry. Because I knew anyone put their hands on me, I knew they wasn't going to win the fight, because I was from the hood and I could scrap. I could hit an elephant and knock him out with one punch. So I knew that. That was my least worry. And furthermore, out of 5,000 members, I was the only black for a period of 21 years. The only person cared anything for me was my boss man. And my boss man taught me everything he knew. Everything he knew. So that cannot be taken from me. My knowledge, I have 27 trades. I came from nothing. I made myself into something. I was raised on rice and butter, 2 slices of bread, and a glass of sugar water. We were dirt poor. One thing my father didn't play. You weren't going to be no pimp You weren't going to be no drug dealer, and his daughter wasn't going to be no hoes. You was going to make something out of yourself whether you wanted to or not. I was 19 years old, married, had my own apartment, had my own job, had my own car, had a kid, paying all my bills, and still getting beatings. I was afraid of my father. Yeah, I'm not going to lie and say I wasn't, because I was. And I accepted it. He didn't know no better because we were from South Carolina. He didn't know any better. But now I thank him for it because he kept me out of prison. So what made me into the man that I am today is my mother on her deathbed teaching me dignity and respect, and teaching me not to ever lie because you can't remember a lie. I'm 69 years old, like I said, and I live by that today. Today, as of right now, as we're speaking, as of today, I've had 39 surgeries. The only way they could stop me from doing drywall work was to hogtie me and torture me with 290,000 volts. Anyone out there not with medical knowledge know what a CPK is. I had a CPK of 683, which is muscle byproduct, where my heart was literally supposed to explode. Instead of my heart exploding, all of the nerves in my body shrunk. All of the discs in my body dehydrated. That's what those 38 surgeries are from. It took them from January the 3rd, 1987 up until 2018 before they did my neck. 2019 is when they did my right shoulder. So they made sure that they didn't kill me, but they made damn sure they left me where I would be a living dead and I could never go to the next level with my trade. That changed my whole life and the way that I lived. Now everything has been taken from me. I raised my kids, got 2 kids through college, 2 of my kids at home through college. Helped my nephew get through college. Yeah, Elvin Dowling, yeah, I helped him get through college. When he needed suits, I sent him suits. When he wanted a diamond ring and a gold chain, I sent it to him. Yes, I most surely did. My son, James Denard Dowling, allowed others influence him that I was a coward. I was afraid to sell drugs. I wasn't afraid to sell drugs. I had enough common sense to know that selling drugs, you would either go to prison or be killed. So when someone told me that my son was selling drugs, after going through 21 years in the union and allowing them to call me nigger, monkey, baboon, tell me that they didn't want me there, and the only person cared about me was my boss and the union members, union representative, who I made money for, big money. I was hanging 150 bowls a day when they stopped me from working. And I was a C&D student. And I can proudly say I was making $2,500 a day, legitimately. Yes, I dressed like a pimp. I dressed like a preacher. Matter of fact, I put on my Cadillac, drywall pimp. to let the young blacks in the community know that, hey, you can make an honest living working if you find something that you enjoy doing. And I was a C&D student. Ain't shame of it. Ain't got nothing to be ashamed of. But I made something out of myself, and I stayed out of prison. I say that to say this. My son graduated from college with political science major. I'm thinking that my son was going to be a politician or an attorney. Someone informed me that my son was selling drugs. I refused to believe that after all I went through to help him get through college, to get him through college. Working sun up, sundown, 7 days a week. Being belittled, called all kind of names, accepting all kind of abuse from people that didn't want me there on the job. My only person who wanted me there were my boss and the people that I took care of. And when I approached my son and saw him with my own eyes doing that, and I told him I would take off my belt and beat him, my son commenced to reaching up under his shirt, pulling out a gun, and telling me that he would empty it in me if I beat him, and to make sure that I was dead, he would reload it and empty it in me again. I couldn't do nothing but cry like a baby. I'll never forget it. I'll never get over it because the pain does not go away. And I blame that on the Lake Worth Police Department and the racist crackers that I deal with on the job that set me up just to stop me from working because I was a better worker. There's seriously something wrong with this system. I don't know why white folks are so afraid of the melanin that's in our skin. Yes, we're the dominant gene. Yes, we can make a baby with any race that we lay down with. But that's no reason to try to destroy us because of the melanin that's in our skin. That's our gene. The first man on this earth was black. That's why you are here. And if you check your history, you may find out that there is some black in you. And continue on. Now, I got my daughter through college. My daughter graduated from college with a business major. So I know that my business is going to the next level because I was a C&D student. But I had common sense. I could read and write. I could take the business to the next level with their knowledge. And that's what I expected to do. After losing my health, my daughter got with her a guy that was selling drugs and gave her AIDS, and she died a horrible death. So young people, I hope this message help y'all, help somebody stay on the right track. If I could just save one person from selling drugs, screwing up your life, because once you become a convicted felon, you're through dealing. And when you've worked hard all your life to try to have something, and your child have the nerve, your son, not my daughter, my son, looked me in my face and told me I was a coward. I was scared to sell drugs. I was a slave for the man. We all got to be a slave for somebody because nothing in this society, or nothing in this world, or nothing on this earth is free. It's free. You got to pay your dues in order to make it to the next level. So I hired this attorney Keith Krasnoff. That's right, I'm going to say his name, Keith Krasnoff, out of Broward County. Okay. This attorney took my case. I had a 1983 civil rights action. This attorney took my case, and he wanted me to go back to work, go back to the union, say I got hurt on the job, come back to him, and he would make me a millionaire. I refuse. I refuse. I refuse. Devil, buke you. I refuse to do that. Because my mother told me when I was 15 years old on her deathbed, never lose your dignity, never lose your respect, never allow anyone to take that from you, and never lie, because you can't remember a lie. I'm 69 years old, and I still live by those words today. Yes, he lost the case. I didn't get one single penny, and I've had 38 surgeries. But hey, that's all right. It was a learning experience. Then I turned around. I was gullible, very gullible. I'm black. I know I'm black. Now I got a black friend, Andre Samuel. Yeah, Andre Samuel. I get invited to a club, okay, to see Terry Crook sing. And my wife and I that I'm married to now go there. I was at Razor Ruddock's. And whilst I'm at Razor Ruddock's, I buy a bottle of champagne. We sitting there. I'm driving an LS Coupe Acura Legend. Okay, I got $3,000 or $4,000 in my pocket, but I've been hanging drywall all week. Miss Crook goes on the table, goes on the stage, and she performs. She comes back to the table, and her keys are missing. Her keys are missing. Andre Samuel say that James Dowling, got the keys. I had on a Versace suit. I shopped at Lucky's, where the football players shop at. Now I got on a $1,200 suit. Okay? There's nowhere on God's earth I put keys in my pocket. My keys always went in my wife's pocketbook. Officer Butler was a friend of Terry Crooks and Andre Samuel. Officer Butler, Terry Crook, and Andre Samuel set me up as a drug dealer. Now, the reason I say that, after they couldn't find the keys, they searched my wife's pocketbook, couldn't find the keys. The officer I pulled out all my pockets and allowed the officer to pat me down. Couldn't find the keys. Then he asked me, was it all right if he searched my car? Of course. There's nothing in there. Of course. But he wasn't looking for keys. Andre Samuel had the keys all the time. Andre Samuel, Terry Crook, and Officer Butler for Plantation Police Department, they set my black ass up. Yes, I can see it now. I can say it now. And yes, it has come to me. They set my black ass up. Officer Albert Butler, Terry Crook, and Andre Samuel. Yes, they set me up. After searching my car, my glove compartment, under my seats, in my trunk, down in my seats, this man was looking for drugs. I've never used drugs. I've never used drugs. That's not my character. That's not my goal. That's not me. That's not me. So, after not finding anything, I said, I got a bottle of champagne on the table that I paid for, and we finna go back inside. He told me I was under arrest. And I said, under arrest for what? Suspectedly having some keys. How can somebody suspectedly have some keys and you haven't found them? But I didn't know anything about the law. I'm being perfectly honest with you. Okay. Here it is the second time. Now I get injured again. I'm in the back seat of the car handcuffed. I asked Officer Butler, I say, look, would you please leave the handcuffs loose? I say, because I just had carpal tunnel surgery a few years ago, and you gonna flare my carpal tunnel up. No, he tightened them suckers down. Every time he hit a bump, anybody know anything about handcuffs and been handcuffed, they tighten up. Thank God I didn't die in the back seat. The handcuffs tightened up so tight, it cut off my breath, and I threw up in the back seat. So by the time we reached the jailhouse and he saw I had threw up, he grabbed me by my feet and dragged me out the car by my feet, hitting my head like I was a criminal and a thug. Yes, I didn't know anything about the law. Didn't know nothing. Went to trial, hired a white attorney, went to trial. The case was null pros. The state attorney's office stated that there was no probable cause to arrest me from the beginning. So once we were in court, the judge that I went in front of was black, and she was a sorority sister of Terry Crook. So once she saw Terry, she withdrew from the case, okay? Because she already knew it was a setup, knew they had set me up, and it was an all-black thing, and she wasn't going to lose her license. But I'm telling you, that's why I don't trust nobody but God these days. So when God come back to this earth, then I start back trusting, okay? When God come back to this earth, I start back trusting human beings. As of right now, I don't have nothing but associates. I trust my enemy because I can respect my enemy. I can respect my enemy. Them fake ass friends, I have no respect for. Jealousy, I have no respect for. They destroyed my life. They destroyed my livelihood. But that's all good too. That's all good too. Because my wife stood by me. That's right. My wife stood by me. Now I got common sense. Now I know something about the law. Now I know what to do if I'm ever put in that predicament or situation again. Oh, yeah. Now I know. Matter of fact, it just happened about a month ago, back in April, around April 22nd, April 23rd. I got a racist neighbor behind me. And the worst thing I ever could have did when I bought this house back in 2008 was invite her husband over to watch the Super Bowl. Yeah, he retired sheriff. So I'm being neighborly. Had my wife to cook some chicken, wings. We having beer. We sat here and enjoyed the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl, this cracker told me I had the biggest TV he ever seen in his life. We used to stand at the back fence and talk. His wife would always come out and have start a conversation. when I'm out there working in the backyard. Now he come outside after that. Why you out there talking to that nigga? Get in the house. What? I'm trying to figure out now what I did to you. I ain't did nothing to you. I haven't done one single thing to you. So that was a learning experience. Here it is, 2020, and I'm still catching hell. He died. I'm still catching hell out of his racist wife. She just told pipe contractors to jump my fence. And I'm in the house, my wife and I. Jump my fence, dig holes in my yard to put down a pole holder, a scrap for a pole holder, when the scrap is on their side of the property. Instead of keeping the scrap where the scrap originally is, you tell the two white guys that work for pipe contractors, that's subcontracting for Florida Power and Light, to jump my fence, dig holes in my yard. Yeah, my neighbor. Now, they went to her and asked her, did she want it in her yard? She told them, no, put it in his yard. Put it in the nigger yard. Yeah, we're going to run that nigga out the neighborhood. Like I'm a criminal. Like I'm a criminal. I've been dealing with this rednecks for 18 years. I put a big sign in my yard saying, stop all racism in North Lauderdale. Hey, they stole it, threw it in the canal. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. You know, black folks are tired of being singled out. I'm tired of being singled out. I'm tired of being accused of things I didn't do. Then they sent a black inspector over here, knowing I'm in my rights. He called the police. They sent a black and white police out here. Okay. They go beat me and make me allow pipe contractors to come in my yard and violate my civil rights, violate my property. And I got signs all around my property says no trespassing. When all they had to do was come to my door and ask me to enter my property. So good thing I know the chief of police. I asked him for the chief. In fact, the chief wouldn't have came over here and straightened the problem out, I'd have been another dead Negro, another dead black man. I'd have been another dead George Floyd. I'd have been another dead George Floyd, because they'd have shot me on my property, in my yard, behind two fences. They'd have shot me and killed me because of the neighbor that's behind me. That's a female. Thank God she's a female. Thank God my mother taught me to respect everybody, no matter how racist they are. As long as they don't put their hands on you, you have no reason to raise your hands. Her and her daughter done stood up out there. I got videos of them calling me nigger. This, nigger this, nigger that, nigger this, nigger that, nigger this, black ass nigger this, black ass nigger that. We're going to run you out the neighborhood, nigger. Nigga, we're going to do this to you. Nigga, we're going to do that to you. And they had the nerve to put up a fence. Put up a wooden fence facing my 4-foot chain link fence. And when they put that fence up, they put the fence up with the poles facing my property. Now, my friend Jack Brady was the mayor. I would go to the city, ask them and tell them, report it. For years, 4 or 5 years went by. They never did anything about that fence. Never did anything about that fence. Then I was holding a conversation with someone, and they told me that the racist behind me was his wife's cousin. Now, don't get me wrong. I truly don't believe Mr. Brady had anything to do with that, because he was not that type of person. He appointed me to the beautification committee when I bought this house, because this was the worst looking house in the neighborhood. And this black man moved in it with drywall knowledge and made it one of the best looking houses in the neighborhood, and started every one of these crackers over here to fixing up their houses, and the blacks trying to keep up with me, because we're not going to let this Negro outdo us. That wasn't the purpose of me fixing up the house. The purpose of me fixing up the house is because I came from the hood. I came from nothing. And I had the knowledge to do it. So that's why I did it. I even had one of my white neighbors. That's an airplane pilot, man. He fly planes. He's a drunk, but he fly planes. He pulled up in my yard and told me point blank, I couldn't afford this house. And I just looked at him and laughed. I looked at him and laughed. That's all I could do was laugh, because it was funny. He didn't know the knowledge that I had. I didn't let them call me nigger and monkey and baboon for 21 years in the union and didn't learn nothing. My boss man taught me how to lay out, how to frame, how to hang, how to finish. And my boss man was a redneck. They can say what they want to say about a redneck. I love a redneck. A redneck is a good cracker. I'd rather have a redneck for a friend than a nigger. Now, you hear me? I'd rather have a redneck for a friend than a nigger. Because a redneck gonna tell you just like how he feel. You know he's a redneck, and you can respect him for it. He taught me everything he know. Took me out on his boat, introduced me to all his Ku Klux Klan friends, took me to his barbecue, wanted to buy the house next door to him for me in Royal Palm when black folks couldn't live out there. But I was in love with my first wife, and I wouldn't move out there because she was afraid to live out there. The cracker was trying to tell me, James, you need me to protect you. I was his thoroughbred nigger. That's right. I was his thoroughbred nigger, like a horse. I worked sun up, sun down for him. And he paid me damn good. That's right. And I was a C and D student, but I always had dignity and respect. Always had dignity and respect. And I'm 69 years old, and I still got my dignity and respect. And I ain't gonna lose it for anyone. So when you coming for me, if you coming for me, just walk up to me and slap me in my face as hard as you can and see will I react. That's all it takes to get next to me. Just walk up to me and slap me as hard as you can and see will I react. Then I'll be what you want me to be. Then I will be what you want me to be. Other than that, leave me the fuck alone. This is James Dowling. They call me Bear. I'm from Palm Beach County. And in Palm Beach County, they call me the drywall pimp. Now, you can go out there in West Palm Beach or Riviera Beach and ask anybody about me. Anybody. Anybody. I'm signing out. Today's date is 6/1/2020. January, February, March, April, May, June. June the 1st, 2020. And that's my life story. Yeah, the attorney lost the case. I didn't get one single penny. Keith Krasnow, Broward County. Yeah. Yeah. Judge Zock. Judge Zock. Went in front of Judge Zock. Judge Zock told Mr. Krasnow, Mr. Krasnow, do not practice street law in my courtroom. It's in the records down there at Broward County Court. How would you like if you was tortured just for the color of your skin and you was a better worker? No, I didn't know a damn thing about the law because I hadn't been in and out of jail. If I had been in and out of jail, I'd have known how to get an attorney. I'd have known that the attorney wasn't representing me. I'd have knew he was selling me out. But I didn't know the criminal system. And I still don't know the criminal system. But I damn sure got more sense now than I had back then. But if I'd have knew the criminal system, like the criminals do, the criminals know the criminal system. Yes, sir. The criminals know the criminal system. I just didn't know the criminal system. I didn't know the justice system. I didn't know how attorneys work, how lawyers work, because I wasn't out there in the streets. My daddy didn't play that shit. You was going to work, you was going to be respectable, and you was going to try to make something out of yourself. And that's what I did. To be raised on rice and butter and sugar water. To get up 5 o'clock in the morning with my first child. Boy, 10 hot dogs. Get on a bicycle and ride 20 miles to Badcock's Furniture. And to be told that you're not going to amount to anything on that bicycle. I stayed out of prison and I made something out of myself. All my siblings, we all have homes. Both of my sisters and myself, we all have homes. We all stayed out of prison. We all made something out of ourselves. So you can push all you want. That don't make me react. I've told you what make me react. Put your hands in my face. Put your hand on my wife. Put your hands on my kids and let me see it. Put your hands on my grandkids and let me see it. Then I got a reason to go spend my old age in prison. Because of the ones that are working, the ones that's doing what's right, the one that's trying to do what's right and stay out of prison, I'll die for. I'll die for. But my sons who out there slinging drugs, I ain't doing a damn thing for you. Don't even come visit me. Keep your ass where you at. Don't bring that hot ass heat around me. I don't play that shit. And you know I don't play it. So as long as you're into that illegal shit, I ain't down with it. Now, you can do what you want to do out there in the motherfucking streets. Just don't bring it to me. I'm not the one. I'm not the one. Nah. And if you know me well, you damn sure know that much about me. Damn shame as what they did to George Floyd. They tried to kill me, but it wasn't my time. But they damn sure destroyed my health. As we speak right now today, June 1st, I need surgery on my left shoulder from that injury. I'm still having epidurals in my back, in my neck. My sciatic nerve is pinched at L5S1 from that injury. So don't push. Stop pushing. I ain't afraid of you. Afraid ain't got a goddamn thing to do with it. I stay home because I chose to. I don't walk through my damn neighborhood in North Lauderdale because I know it's a bunch of po-ass redneck crackers over here that call the police, and they don't have enough goddamn common sense to come out and ask you who you are or try to get some information from you before they react. Who in the hell want to get killed for no damn reason? Black people getting fed up with that. Thank you.